Hey, Paul, this would be a really good place to start.
Hi everybody, my name is Hirsch. Welcome to TalkHotRods.com. Today we continue our Hahn Vorbach Collector Car Quick Tips series with episode 5, which has to do with your relationship with the restoration shop. Paul's going to get things underway next. This segment is brought to you by Fox's Pizza Den.
Located at 502 East Grandview Avenue in Zelienople, PA.
Home of the Big Daddy.
Try one today. Give them a call, 724-452-0511. Tell them Hirsch sent you.
Be careful in the hot rod.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Collector Car Quick Tips. Early on, we talked to you about the collector car lifestyle and why people get involved with their collector cars. We talked about also ways in which you, as an individual, can become part of that lifestyle. We discussed ways in which you can evaluate a car that you might be considering for purchase and things that you could do to have that car restored at a shop. Well, now we want to talk a little bit about that relationship with your restoration shop and choosing a shop. And this is a very important piece because when you're going to restore a car for any reason, it's a long-term commitment, and you really need to trust and be on board with the shop that you choose. So when we come back, we'll talk a little more about choosing a restoration shop for your project.
Today's Collector Car Quick Tip is brought to you by the Flashlight Drags. Street racing without the jail time. Hey, Paul, what criteria should you consider when you're choosing a shop?
Well, Hirsch, choosing a shop is a major decision, and you want to choose wisely. Do your homework. We've said it many times before, but it really applies here. Now, one question you can ask yourself is, are you looking to have a restoration shop do your work, or are you going to go to a collision shop that does some restorations on the side, or a friend or something like that? We, of course, recommend you use a restoration shop because they really are geared towards that sort of project. A collision shop makes their money doing work on collisions. So if you want someone who can specialize in what you're looking for with your restoration, we'd recommend going to a restoration shop. Even within that, though, you want to take a look at whether you think you're going to need a shop that specializes in a particular mark or two marks, a couple of different cars they do, or like we are, a generalist shop, someplace that handles a variety of automobiles. And we believe that a well-equipped shop can handle pretty much any sort of restoration, and we've done all sorts of restorations here, everything from 1930s era one of one car through modern classics and muscle cars. Now, another criteria you want to look at is whether or not you want to deal with someone locally, or perhaps a shop that is more in your region, and region could be a 100-mile radius of where you live, or do you want to look beyond that? We have collector customers that are from New England and from Florida and other places, so it isn't something where you need to go directly to someone close by. So do your homework again and choose wisely.
Hey, what are your tips for locating a shop?
Well, you have a lot of resources to look for a shop. For recommendations, talk to a friend, talk to car clubs, and you can also just listen for word of mouth. A lot of our work has come from prior customers passing on good word about what we do. Another option is to look in magazines, in enthusiast magazines. A lot of shops, ours included, advertise in there, and that might be a way for you to get an idea of what's available around you. And finally, of course, there's the internet. You can't escape the internet. It's a great resource. Google searches and such, you can search on collector car restoration, classic car restoration, antique restoration, things of that nature. If you want to narrow the search down a little more to your particular area, you might add on such as something like classic car restoration, Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. But these resources are plentiful out there. That'll get you a list of maybe places you want to take a look at. And then the next phase, of course, is setting up a shop visit.
Paul, what should I look for in a shop visit?
Well, that's a great question, Hirsch. I would recommend that if you go to have a shop visit, set up, make an appointment with the shop owners, and set up your visit. Then when you get there, I take a look around at what are their current projects. What are they working on? Are they working on a car similar to yours? And what do you see? Does the quality of work and the kind of things that they're involved with kind of meet what you're looking for? Is the shop organized? And when I talk about organized, usually you also want it fairly clean, but the reality of automotive restoration is sanding on cars produces a lot of dust. So if things are a little dusty, I wouldn't be too worried about that. But overall, if things kind of organized, and do they seem to have a good process? The other big one is, of course, parts storage. What do they do? Where do they store the parts? And do they have a decent method and organization around that? Because in restoration, again, parts storage is king. You can ask them what work do they sub out and what work is done in-house. We sub out machine work, for example, on engines, but we do all the engine assembly here. Same with our interiors. We don't stitch anything, but we do install all the interiors here. Everything else we do on site, painting, sanding, mechanical work, all that sort of thing. So ask about that. You might also just check a little bit about whether they have a library of documentation. Is it technical in nature? Do they have some historic information that they can kind of use to refer to what is period correct for any given particular car? Because that kind of lets you know, it's a little clue that these guys are seriously into restoration. And finally, talk with the owners, meet with the owners. These people are the people you're going to be working with going forward on a very big and expensive project. You really want to have the faith that they know what they're doing and that they're going to work with you. So, those are some tips for lining up a shop. When we come back the next time, we're going to have my partner Bill Hahn talk about what kind of questions we'd be asking you.
Hey, that's it for part 1 of choosing a shop, really important. Part 2 coming your way soon. This is Hirsch. Thank you for helping us. Be careful on the hot road.